Feel like Dave Portnoy over here with an emergency press conference. I should be wearing my Barstool hat right now. So I want to give you guys an update here. So copper futures, they shot up about 11%. So President Donald Trump, he announced plans to implement a 50% duty on copper imports during a cabinet meeting, indicating he intends to pursue tariffs on certain industries such as pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, and also metals. The semiconductor news took down the U.S. equity market here just a bit, with the NASDAQ pulling back as well. But copper's where it's at right now. We're seeing a liftoff in many of these other metals as well. So following those remarks, copper futures in New York experienced a significant surge, rising as much as 17%. So the high of the session here, 589.55, would pared back some of those gains. 541 here last, up about 39 cents. Still an incredible move here. It marks the largest intraday gain since the data has been collected beginning in 1988. So the move comes at a time when there's widespread anticipation of increased demand for copper over the next decade, particularly from sectors such as data centers, automotive, power companies. They are all actively seeking the necessary materials to boost electric vehicle production and enhanced electric grid capability. So consequently, though, there remains this long-term bullish outlook on the copper market. And in 2024, the United States, they consumed approximately 1.6 million tons of refined copper. That's according to a U.S. Geological Survey. Although the U.S. has substantial mining operations producing about 850,000 tons of primary copper here last year, it still really depends on the imports. And that's where the problem with these types of tariffs come into play here. So you look at Chile, they're our largest source of imports. They account for about 38% of the total volume, followed by Canada and Mexico, which is 28% and also 8%. So we're seeing that, copper imports, they're continuing to go here into the United States. And a tariff like this is quite shocking. So you break out to the upside over that 520 resistance point, shoot out all the way up to 589. Now the question is in related news, is silver next on here? Is it a metal that potentially could face some of these tariffs? We saw silver futures come dramatically off their lows, pairing off some of the losses here from earlier in the session. Now, gold futures are weighing a bit on that silver market right now as the dollar index has pushed higher. But the reality is that the reason why, and I know you guys are always looking for a why isn't silver up a buck here? And I still think it's quite early in the development stage here. It's because shares of U.S. solar companies, they did decline following President Trump's proposal for new regulations that would restrict access to tax incentives for renewable energy projects. So the development was made because of these adjustments with that budget bill that was signed into law on July 4th, which allows solar and wind incentives still to be eligible for tax credits, but the production's got to happen within the next 12-month time frame. So you've got the copper tariffs, perhaps the silver tariffs take place, and you get that short-term squeeze to the upside. So just something to think about, not a recommendation. I just want to keep you guys informed and aware of some of these developments that are occurring in these markets, because it is quite fluid in a lot of these situations here. And this is oftentimes where we'll pair some options along with the futures contracts in case you get this breakout momentum move higher here. And that's like what we're starting to see in copper. Could be a precursor to what's to come in the silver market. So you got any questions, you want to open up a futures trading account, shoot us an email at info@bluelinefutures.com. And remember that futures and option trading, it does involve risk of loss, and it may not be suitable to all investors. Good luck. Go get them. Good trading.